네, 오늘도 시장이 난리가 났습니다. 모든 섹터가 충격을 받은 듯이 크게 하락하고 있는데요. 이렇게 시장이 유동치는 이유는 CPI 지수, 즉 소비자 물가 지수 때문인데요. 전년 동기 대비 8.6%로 예상치를 상회했고, 물가, 즉 인플레이션이 피크를 쳤다고 하면 최소한 직전 달보다는 물가 지수가 내려가야겠죠. 근데 전월 대비도 여전히 1% 상승을 기록했습니다. 이번 소비자 물가 지수가 더 올라간 주요 원인으로는 에너지 가격이 큰 영향을 주었다고 합니다. 에너지 그리고 원자재 가격 상승이 장기화되고 있죠. 즉 다시 말해서 인플레이션 그리고 경기 침체에 대한 우려에 연준의 금리 인상이 더 가속화될 것이라는 전망이 시장을 박살내고 있는 것입니다. 여기 아래쪽 표를 보시면 소비자 심리 지수 또한 최악으로 가고 있는데요. 6월 소비자 심리 지수 잠정치가 4월 58.4에서 50.2로 추락해서 사상 최저 수준으로 하락했습니다. 미국 경제 성장을 지탱하는 가장 큰 힘은 막대한 소비에서 나오는데요. 지수가 이렇게 나왔다는 건 사실상 가까운 미래에 소비 침체가 이미 왔거나 필연적으로 올 것이다 라는 뜻으로 해석이 됩니다. 자, 그럼 이렇게 장 상황이 어려운데요. 무한 긍정왕 캔피셔 형님은 이런 장에 대해 어떻게 생각하는지 최신 영상을 번역해 보았습니다. 짧으니까요, 금방 보고 오시겠습니다.
You may have heard me say before, and I know I could be wrong, that I think that what's been going on in the stock market this year is an almost archetypal stock market correction, not the beginnings of a bear market. And of course, the definition of a bear market traditionally is a decline with some good duration of more than 20% off of the very broad stock market. I like to think of that off of the global stock market, MSCI World. You may prefer to think of it as the S&P 500, but it's not off of some little narrow sector going down a lot. People say that a lot. I always get a little annoyed by that when they say something like the steel stocks are in a bear market. You know, there's something that's always falling apart. That doesn't tell you much about the broad market. A drop of 10 to 20% is traditionally thought of as a correction, is faster and ends quicker and reverts to new highs within a bull market. And a drop of less than 10% is just kind of thought of as normal volatility. This one, based on all of the corrections that have existed for the S&P 500 since 1925, just fits into the pattern of an archetypal one in terms of the way it's acted from the very beginning. They typically, depending on whether you're looking at mean or median average, last 2 to 3 months. They drop on average about 14%. They about 2/3 of the time recover in a V-shaped pattern, and about 1/3 of the time recover in a W-shaped pattern. And people try to time them. And I've always said they come for any reason or no reason. They've always got scary worst and first stories. Oh my God, it's terrible. It's the worst. It's the first. This has never happened before. This is going to be a catastrophic event. But in fact, those fears end up being false, and the bull market resumes. Trying to avoid these things is something that no one's ever done very well. But when they try, they're often in the process, once one started, of saying, I think it's going to be a real bear market, and I want to get out. I want to get out to sidestep the bear market, and if they're right, that's a perfectly valid thing to do. But the worst thing you can actually do is to get out at the bottom of the V or right after the resumption of the bull market, just as it started, as you get to break even, which is often referred to as break-evenitis. Break-evenitis is the desire to get out where you got in so you haven't, on paper, dollar to dollar lost any money. And the problem with break-evenitis is that when you have a correction and you get back to the top, the history of that is that the next 6, 12, and 24 months is very positive. And you miss out on the opportunity costs that had you in stocks in the first place at the moment that the correction started. And that loss of opportunity cost is a bigger real loss for you. Not a loss in dollars that you lose, but a loss in dollars that you should have had than anything that happens within the correction. So it's very important when you see a correction rebounding, not to say, boy, oh boy, now that it's rebounding, I ought to get out before it goes back down, for fear that it might, because the reality is that once you get to the new high, you're going for a nice long ride for a good long time, and to miss that is actually a huge opportunity cost and detrimental to why you own stocks in the first place. Thank you very much for listening to me.
네, 번역 영상 잘 보셨나요? 장이 더 개박살나고 있는데 캔피셔 형님은 여전히 존버하면은 미래에 더 큰 수익이 찾아올 거라고 강조하고 있습니다. 시장의 항복 단계, 즉 찐 바닥에 가까워지는 듯 하면서도 잠깐 올렸다가 또 다시 패대기 치는 상황이 계속되고 있는데요. 에너지나 원자재 주식이라든지 미리 포트폴리오 배분을 잘 해두신 분이 아니고서야 모두 힘든 상황이라고 생각합니다. 장 상황이 괜찮아지는 그날까지 잘 버텨서 캔피셔 형님이 강조하는 지겨운 하락이 끝나고 시작되는 강세장의 수익을 함께하게 되길 기원하겠습니다. 오늘도 영상 봐주셔서 정말 감사합니다.